Good afternoon, everyone. So today, the U.S. Department of State's Rewards for Justice program is offering rewards of up to $5 million each for information leading to the identification or location of Hamas leader Saleh al-Rouri and Lebanese Hezbollah leaders Khalil Youssef Mahmoud Harb and Hatim Ali Tabatabai. Saleh al-Rouri is a deputy of the Hamas's political bureau and one of the founders of Hamas's military wing. Al-Rouri is currently living freely in Lebanon, where he is reportedly working with the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force. Al-Rouri raised funds for and directed Hamas military operations in West Bank and has been linked to several terrorist attacks, hijackings, and kidnappings. In 2014, al-Rouri asserted Hamas's responsibility for the June 12, 2014 terrorist kidnapping and murder of 3 teenagers in the West Bank, including dual U.S. Israeli citizen Naftali Frankel. The U.S. Department of Treasury designated al-Rouri specially designated global terrorist in September 2015. Khalil Youssef Mahmoud Harb is a close advisor of Hassan Nasrallah, leader of Lebanese Hezbollah, and has served as the group's chief military liaison and Palestinian terrorist organizations. Harb has commanded and supervised Lebanese Hezbollah military operations in the Palestinian territories and several countries throughout the Middle East. The U.S. Department of Treasury designated Harb as a specially designated global terrorist in August of 2013. Hatim Ali Tabatabai is a key Lebanese Hezbollah military leader who commanded Hezbollah special forces in both Syria and Yemen. The Department of State designated Tabatabai as a specially designated global terrorist in October 2016. The Hamas and Hezbollah organizations receive weapons, training, and funding from Iran, which the Secretary of State has designated as a state sponsor of terrorism. The Department of State designated both Hamas and Hezbollah as foreign terrorist organizations in October 1997 and as specially designated global terrorist entities in October 2001. We urge anyone with information on the whereabouts of these individuals to contact the Rewards for Justice program via the RFJ website at www.rewardsforjustice.net or via email at info@rewardsforjustice.net. The individuals outside the United States may also contact the nearest U.S. Embassy or consulate. All information submitted to us will be kept strictly confidential. I repeat, confidential. The Rewards for Justice program has been an effective tool in our fight against international terrorism. Since its inception in 1984, the program has paid in excess of $150 million to more than 100 individuals who provided credible information that prevented international terrorist attacks or helped to bring terrorists to justice. Through the efforts of courageous people who have stepped forward with information about wanted terrorist suspects, the Rewards for Justice program has helped law enforcement authorities throughout the world to stop terrorists and save innocent lives. I'm hopeful that the rewards offers we are announcing today will play a similar role in bringing Saleh al-Rouri, Mahmoud Harb, and Hatim Tabatabai to justice. Thank you. And now I would like to turn over the microphone to Ambassador Nathan Sales, who will then give you our government's view on Iran going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I'd like to say a few words to put into a broader strategic context the RFJ reward offers that Assistant Secretary Evanoff has just announced. Before I do so, however, I'd like to pause for a moment to acknowledge that today is a very sad anniversary. This is the 3-year anniversary of the ISIS attacks on Paris in November of 2015. Iran is the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. It has held that dubious distinction for many years now, and it shows no signs of relinquishing the title. Let me give you some numbers. Iran spends $700 million a year on Lebanese Hezbollah. It gives another $100 million to various Palestinian terrorist groups, including Hamas. Combined with the money that Tehran provides to other terrorists, the total bill comes close to $1 billion a year. Sadly, it is the Iranian people who are forced to pay this price. The resources that Iran uses to fund its global terrorist ambitions are resources that come directly out of the pockets of everyday average Iranians. The regime robs its own citizens to pay its proxies abroad. Inside Lebanon, Hezbollah's destructive actions have endangered the Lebanese people. Thanks to Iran's backing, Hezbollah has built a fearsome arsenal. The group has stockpiled more than 100,000 rockets and missiles inside Lebanon, and we see this as a massive and destabilizing buildup. As we all know, Hezbollah hides its missile factories in population centers, effectively using innocent civilians as human shields. Hezbollah's ability to destabilize is not confined to the Middle East, however. It is able to destabilize inside Lebanon itself. As Prime Minister-designate Saad Hariri told media outlets earlier today, Hezbollah continues to block Lebanon from forming a new government. This is all at the expense of the Lebanese people in an effort to extract more concessions for Hezbollah's own benefit. We are also deeply concerned about Tehran's growing ties to Hamas. After a brief split early in the Syria conflict, Hamas and Iran have rebuilt their relationship. Iran is once again providing Hamas with much-needed funding. Salih al-Aruri has been a major player in the Hamas-Iran relationship, serving as one of Hamas's key liaisons with Iran and playing an important role in the reconciliation between the two sides. As has been widely reported, Aruri is currently living freely inside Lebanon, where Hezbollah's leadership has welcomed him with open arms. This is simply unacceptable. It is intolerable for a leader of Hamas to enjoy safe haven in Lebanon. In addition to the reward offers just unveiled by Assistant Secretary Evanoff, I announced several new actions to combat Iranian terrorism earlier today in a speech at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Today, the State Department is designating Jawad Nasrallah and the Al-Mujahideen Brigades as specially designated global terrorists, or SDGTs. Jawad Nasrallah is the son of the group's Secretary General, Hassan Nasrallah. AMB is an Iran-backed terrorist group that has been operating in the Palestinian territories since 2005. In addition, we're maintaining Hezbollah's designation as a foreign terrorist organization, which was up for a mandatory 5-year review. Likewise, the Treasury Department is designating a number of Hezbollah-related individuals as SDGTs. Shibal al-Zaidi, Yusuf Hashim, Mohammed Farhat, and Adnan Katharani. All told, the Trump administration has already designated more than 40 Hezbollah-related individuals and entities this year alone, with a total of 160 to date. The actions we're announcing today are one more step in our campaign to build the toughest sanctions regime ever imposed on Iran. More sanctions are coming, and they will continue until Iran and its proxies change their behavior. Iran must follow the same rules that every other civilized nation follows and renounce terrorism as a basic tool of statecraft. We will continue to ratchet up the pressure until Iran joins the community of civilized nations and ceases its support for murder and mayhem around the globe. Thank you very much.
We have time for a few questions. Nick, we'll start with you. Nick Wadhams from Bloomberg.
Can you tell us, you said, I think it's al-Aruri is living freely in Lebanon, so what pressure are you putting on the government of Lebanon to detain him, if any, and will they face any punishment or sanction for allowing them to go free? And then can you also just explain, given that these men have been on various terrorist lists since 2013, why now? With the rewards?
Let me take the first piece and then turn it over to the Assistant Secretary. What we expect of Lebanon is what we expect of any government when dealing with a designated SDGT. So a person who is designated as an SDGT is subject to having all of their assets that are subject to U.S. jurisdiction frozen. And individuals are prohibited from engaging in any kind of transaction with them. Doing so subjects those individuals to secondary sanctions. It's intolerable, as I said, for a senior Hamas figure to enjoy freedom of movement in any country. And what we expect of Lebanon is what we'd expect any responsible country to do, and that is crack down on any terrorists in their borders.
The Rewards for Justice program is an interagency program with the Secretary of State having the final say in it. This has taken time to get processed, and once the time has come, we have now unraveling it. So it's nothing. There's nothing that shows that we have an issue with it right now. It's just coming up through the process.
Next question, Lori from page 24.
The Treasury Department, the Hezbollah people the Treasury Department designated today include people from Iraq, Kataib Hezbollah. Could you explain the relationship between Kataib Hezbollah and Lebanese Hezbollah? Is it the same organization? And secondly, the lead figure there in Kataib Hezbollah is actually the head of the Popular Mobilization Forces. Are you doing anything against him, Abu Mohandes?
Oh, let me speak about the relationship between groups. We see a number of similarities in objectives and tradecraft between these various Iran-backed terrorist groups. They seek to destabilize the regions where they're active. They have access to weapons and training provided by Iran. They receive funding from Iran. And that's the reason why we are grouping them together in today's announcements. Today's announcements are about increasing our pressure campaign on Iran proper, but also on the various different proxies that Iran uses throughout the region and around the world.
Nina from I-24, did you have a question? No, somebody said Saeed, go ahead.
Thank you. Is it just Saleh al-Aruri or other Hamas leaders? Because the other Hamas leaders are constantly going and coming back to Cairo, one of your allies, where you can freely take them if you want it.
Well, we have
That's different because they indulge in negotiations.
we have used a number of tools to amplify the pressure on Hezbollah. So today's announcement as Assistant Secretary, Hamas. Thank you for correcting me. Today's announcement is limited to Mr. al-Aruri, but in the past we have taken a number of other steps against Hamas as an organization and Hamas-related individuals. Hamas was one of the first groups we ever designated as an FTO back in the late 90s after Congress enacted the statute providing for that authority. In addition, in January of this year, we designated Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas's political bureau, as an SDGT. So today is just the tip of the iceberg.
Connor Finnegan from ABC.
Good afternoon. Thank you for doing this. Two quick questions for you. The first one, there had been some reporting that the administration is considering designating the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Can you speak to whether or not that is actively under consideration? And then secondly, the administration's been in office for nearly 2 years now with this unprecedented sanctions regime on Iran and their proxies. Have you seen any change in their behavior to date because of the sanctions?
On the Houthis, I'm not going to comment on speculation in the press. What I can tell you is that we've been very clear. It's intolerable that the Houthis are launching Iran-origin munitions into Saudi Arabia. We expect that any country will abide by the standard rules that apply to the international system. One of the most basic of which is do not lob missiles at your neighbors. And your second question about the effects of our sanctions, the president has been clear. We want to squeeze the Iranian regime as tightly as possible. And the reason to do that is to deprive them of the resources they need to commit terrorism and acts of violence around the world. Sadly, this is a core component of Iranian policy, so we're going to have to keep squeezing them. $700 million a year for Hezbollah can buy a lot of bullets and a lot of bombs, so we're going to continue to ramp up the pressure.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle from Al-Hurra. Final question.
Thank you so much. To what extent the Lebanese government is coordinating with the U.S. to arrest these people?
Well, I can't comment on any diplomatic conversations that may or may not be taking place, but what I can tell you is that whether it's Lebanon or any other government around the world, if terrorists are present on your territory, we all have an obligation to prevent them from spreading bloodshed around the world.
Did you mean that there is a coordination or no coordination?
We believe terrorists, these three will move around in the area. So it doesn't have to be in Lebanon. It could be any country in the area. It's RFJ is a tip line. It's an informational thing. So if they do move and the government that they're in spot them, they tell us, then it's up to the interagency to decide how they pick them up and the country.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.